Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for a lower body day, so let's get this started. Alright, nothing really unexpected in today's workout. Everything went as planned, everything felt more or less how I expected it. I bumped my training max on the back squats just a little bit, went up to 445, and this is starting to feel above 90% for me currently, which means I don't think my squat is 500 plus at the moment. I mean, it could be, but again, just based upon how that felt, how that moved, I felt like that was over 90%. And I'm trying to keep the training max as close to 90%, maybe a little more, but still decent there. And what I'm doing is people realized I'm doing a training max on the bench on both upper days, and I'm alternating a back squat and a deadlift. And the thing is, look, I'm just trying to keep them moderately heavy, respectable weights. And they're really just warm-ups. So that we're clear, my training is really hypertrophy and bodybuilding now at this point, chasing body composition, building my arms, trying to trim the waistline down further. So all the training is pretty much hypertrophy work, 8+ reps. Some stuff going up as high as 30, but not intentionally. It's because of the equipment I have. So what I do for the next thing, I do everything as supersets. All my training other than the singles is pretty much supersets. So for the leg work, I do a tricep after that. So these are 3 exercises run in a rotation. I'm doing glute ham raises, and actually they did a little better. I ended up getting like 12, 11, and I think maybe 10 or 11 on the last set. So I'm keeping those a hair higher, trying not to use the 25 because I can't get enough reps. I don't want the glute ham raises really dropping under 10 reps. So I'm kind of stuck with the 10-pound plate for now with doing them. The belt squats, what I'm doing here is just trying to make sure that my quads and stuff get work. So I'm going with a mostly toes forward stance now. And again, just trying to feel a good stretch on the quads. Obviously it works adductors and glutes. And again, sticking right around a weight that's challenging for 10, meaning the last rep moves pretty slow. And then, of course, I finish up with calf raises. Now, the first set, it seems like the first set every time I do these always feels off a little bit. I can't quite get the bar perfect where I want it. But the second and third set always feel good. And what I'm doing on these, I'm just going heavy. Like, let me just put a heavy weight on there. So I've got, what is this, 375? Yeah, I think it's 375. So for sets of 10, just standing on the plate, and again, getting a nice solid calf pump. So the way I'm treating calves now at this point, because I've been training calves for a few months finally, took years and years and years and years. Didn't train calves for 20 years. There's no need. I have good calf genetics, but I'm like, let's work on actually building them. It'll help body composition because you burn a lot of calories with big calves walking around. It helps. It adds up. Plus, again, if I'm going to bring my arms up, I do need to make sure the calves do match. And right now, they're currently the same size. And that's usually what you're shooting for aesthetically. So, again, just trying to keep them the same size. So probably bring both up an inch and get that waistline tighter. Ideally, I need to take at least another 4 to 6 inches off my waist. Right? I need to get the waist down to 30 inches or smaller at the smallest point long term. Again, I know it sounds funny with my powerlifting background, but again, chasing a look, trying to get leaner. So we've got to keep losing body fat, keep building muscle in the right places, just keep moving forward. But the calves, so they're the only lower body thing that I'm really only worried about 3 sets of workout. And the reason is they do get hit with other stuff, right? The other movements are calf movements, squatting works calves. The glute ham raise works my calves. So I almost count the glute ham raise as a calf exercise for me. And I think that's fair. So that gives me 6 sets. So twice a week, that's 12 sets for calves. I think that's a good place. Plus, I don't know, man. And I've said this before, and some of the long timers chime in and go, you can't really take your pumped videos and say, hey, the calves are getting bigger. They're just pumped. And probably right. I just feel looking at the footage, though, man, I do feel like my calves might be growing. And I haven't measured anything in a few months. I don't care to. I took measurements a while back, and I posted what they were. I'm not worried about the measurements now. I'm just going to keep worrying about the look, keep you losing body fat, and keep adding muscle where I need it. So realistically, though, with the training, we try to get 12 sets a week for each muscle, not counting the training maxes, because I don't think they count as sets, personally, right? There's just not enough stimulus from that one rep to give any true muscle growth, in my opinion. right? But it does help, I feel like, attenuate performance and muscle fibers in the other lifts. And it helps keep a strength base, because that's really all we need. We just need to have a decent strength base so that if I ever do need to jump on the platform again, we just jump in and do it, you know. The goal would be to, you know, whatever I can do on training maxes at the time, to walk in and try to hit 10% heavier on a platform, right? So that would be the idea. But yeah, so we do this tri-set, and this really cuts training time down, and it lets me take long breaks between exercises. You know, people are like, you do these back-to-back, but do you stop? Oh yeah, guys, I take 3, 4, maybe occasionally 5 minutes between the tri-set or superset. Why? Because it lets me get all the benefits. We have studies showing long breaks between your main exercises often produces the best growth, but then it takes too dang long. But by supersetting these stuff, opposing muscle groups and things, what happens? It lets me get 2 to 3 times as many exercises done per minute while still getting long breaks between the primary movers again. It works great. Like these workouts end up being much shorter than you would expect given the total amount of volume, and that's the idea. So again, this is, I believe, the last of the tri-sets. So we end up with 3 sets for posterior chain, 3 sets of quad dominant, and then 3 sets for calves. Then I finish up with a superset of leg extensions and reverse hypers. And the problem I'm running into, and I think part of it is because we're on roller bearings and having to use this for leg extensions, they were getting way too easy. So I added another 55 to each side. These felt pretty good. Again, the same thing, the first 10 reps don't feel anything, nothing at all. So again, what I'm looking at next week, I might go ahead and throw another 110 on just to get the reps down, because I ended up hitting 25 to 30 reps still before I hit failure. But I feel like my quads are growing again, so we're definitely getting some benefit from all this. And then of course I superset it with reverse hyper. So what's up with the chain? I've been using a band for that. Now I'm using a chain as a lead because I've got enough weight on there. There's no point. I don't want just the bands to stretch or pop or whatever. So now I'm just using one of those small chains as a lead, and I do that so that I can grab the chain and then get my feet in there and then turn loose of the chain, rather than trying to bend all the way down there and get that sling into place, right? But I feel like this is a little bit better. I feel like I'm actually working harder now. The problem I was running into was doing 30 or 40. I kept adding weight and the reps kept going up. But we're seeing even now, as I continue to add weight, it's the same problem. It's still on roller bearings, right? And so, you have people who say things like, well, could you try to swing it even higher on stuff? So then I got to add another 200 pounds. And that's what people don't get because they never use one of these devices. The further you try to swing up the contraction, the more swing and inertia you get on every rep. So I'm trying to just bring this up to a reasonable contraction and slow it down so that I can try to control the eccentrics a little. But again, you do run into the problem with trying to do exercises on this of there being a lot of inertia to deal with. So you just kind of have to find your sweet spot. But I feel like I've done pretty well with this. I do feel like, obviously I've done reverse hypers forever. I do feel like I'm kind of getting in the groove of how to load it and to perform it in a way to where I am getting a really good burn in my quads, right? Where I'm feeling them working. And we could argue this machine isn't ideal compared to some machines that are perfectly designed for a leg extension, and there's no doubt about that, but I don't have that. And I have this $1,000 reverse hyper, and you can do leg extension, so it lets me do it. And it is working. I am feeling my quads work. So again, making the best of the situation. You always have people who are like, what about sissy? I don't like sissy squats. I really don't. Before anyone says, oh, is it because they hurt? It's like, no, first off, they felt weird, and I've seen too many injuries on them, to be honest. And that's just my opinion. And plus, I don't want to get another device. I have so much stuff in here. I'm out of space. Right? I'm really out of space. That's why I don't have a preacher bench or anything. Oh no, I just said that. People will be like, oh, you flip-flopped. But using the equipment I have, I felt like this has worked really well. Well, I did have someone say, why don't you use the belt squat for calf raises? I'm like, you know how ridiculously uncomfortable that would be? I already don't like the thing around my waist. I actually wish I had a 45-degree leg slide instead at this point, to be perfectly honest, because I've trained on both. I got great results on a leg press before. It helped me build a 600-pound squat back in my 20s. So I like the plate loaded ones. They're just a lot of work to load so many dang plates. Honestly, the belt and the belt squat is uncomfortable itself, and I feel like it gets in the way a lot. But, making do with what I have, I've got really a great setup. So again, it's working. I feel like my lower body's rebuilding. It's getting bigger. It's getting stronger. And this workout was pretty good overall. Very happy with it. So I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.